Alright, what's up? I'm back. I know it's been a minute since I've done a video, but I'm doing some more videos. I'm trying it, seeing how it's going. Not to say that I'm going to become like a full-time YouTuber or anything, but there's been a lot of updates on games that I've been enjoying, and I like to talk about my opinion. I like to give suggestions. I like to hope that maybe someone would see it in the dev teams and give a listen to it, see what they think. So I'm starting with the Dandy's World update. So I'm a little late to this, and by a little late, I mean like multiple weeks late to this. I know, I get it. I'm sorry. I had a lot going on. I have finals currently, so I've been getting ready for those. I've had a lot of final projects going on. I've also had a couple other games update recently, and I've been having a couple other projects on the side that I've been working on. So I've had a lot going on. Um, you've probably seen I just released a Forsaken review, and I'm actually going to be doing another one pretty soon, like this week, which will be going over the 2-time update, and it's going to be pretty unscripted like this one is. But I wanted to do something for Dandy's World and the Easter update. I wanted to talk about it, give my unscripted opinions on it. So back to my usual style of content, back to how I like to do it, and hopefully you guys like this more podcast kind of style. If you want me to do more, I love to do it this way, so let me know. Or, anything you have about this update. I'd also love to hear it. So, getting right into it, I'm going to try my best not to compare to the Christmas update right away, but I will be comparing this update to the Christmas update quite a bit throughout this video, so fair warning now. And I'm only doing that because I think it's important to compare this event to the first event they did with Christmas and see if they've gotten better. So, first off, of course, kind of the staple is the tunes. So, like Christmas, there are 4 new tunes, 1 common, 1 uncommon, 1 rare, and 1 main. And I gotta say that in terms of tunes, I think it was a fantastic step up from what Christmas was like. One of the big complaints that Christmas Update had was that the tunes were very unoriginal in terms of their gameplay, right? So, like, Ginger was literally just another Cosmo with the heal acting pretty much the same way. I think the only difference was that it had a longer range, and I don't even know if that was confirmed. So, that might not even have been confirmed, but otherwise Ginger was just another version of Cosmo, right? And then you had, like, Rudy, who basically just had Flutter Dash on a shorter cooldown, but didn't go as far, right? And you had, like, Cole, who basically just took one of Pebble's passives and turned it into an active ability for the whole team. And you had Bobette, who was kind of just like a Connie ability, only stationary. So, all these things to say that the Easter update was a lot better. I think that the abilities felt a lot more unique, and also they're a lot more usable. I actually see multiple cases where people will like legitimately run these characters in a lobby or in like a public run just because the characters are actually usable, right? Like Egson, for example, who is a starter, just like Rudy was back then, starter stats, all 3 stars, 3 hearts, all that stuff. Egson, I think, is actually a lot more viable because of the fact that you can get a free 10% on every machine you touch, which at first doesn't seem that drastic, but that's 10% regardless of effects, so this completely counters Shelly with 10% immediately being added. This also stacks, so if you have multiple Egsons, you get 20, 30, 40%, which granted, having multiple Egsons in your lobby probably isn't preferable, but it is still a strategy you can do, and I think it's a totally fine strategy. So, even the common character has a decent use, which I love. Flight is another character who I thought had a pretty good use, the ability to deploy a little like tornado that speeds players up or other tunes up. That's another great one. I think that is insanely viable in distractor comps, or like not comps, but distractor teams where you're gonna have like a Pebble, a Goob, something like that. Having a Flight on your team is actually really handy because Flight has that ability as well as the good extraction speed, so really nice there. I think that Coco is also really cool, having the ability to deploy an item, which is something you don't see very often, if at all. So seeing a character who can deploy items, that's actually pretty solid, right? You can use it both as a distractor for movement speed or as an extractor for extraction speed, and both of them are insanely good. So I think that's a really big buff as well. I really like Coco's design. And Bassie is definitely my favorite character from this update. I love Bassie. Initially, I was a little skeptical about Bassie because I thought that the passive was alright, I guess, and the active was really mediocre. I didn't like the idea of dropping items being limited to a toon. I initially thought that that should be a mechanic for everyone, and to a degree, I still think that. Like, to an extent, I still think that every toon should have access to a drop item feature, just because I think it would be beneficial. With that being said, though, I think that the way they implemented it with Bassie is still phenomenal. I think that she is one of the best, if not the best, support toon in the game now. So I love running her. I love using Vimo as well, so I can also help a little bit with the machines, and then just start helping in any way I can with gathering items that might help teammates or doing all that stuff. You can even distract a little bit because of the really good movement speed, but of course the stealth does kind of screw you over, so you kind of have to make that work. But it's not to say it's impossible. Bassie is actually a great backup distractor as well. I think that Bassie is a really good main toon. I think that going forward, that's a great way to design main toons. So overall, the toons were a huge step up gameplay-wise. The only thing that I would say kind of wasn't that great, and this is more of a personal thing, some people may completely disagree with this, and I'm totally fine with that. I thought the dialogue was a bit lacking. Maybe it was just me, but I didn't really enjoy the dialogue between the characters, especially Flight. I thought Flight was really boring. I thought that his personality was just very two-dimensional and unoriginal. I didn't really have any sort of appeal to Flight, and I've kind of noticed that, like, over the weeks, especially going into, what is it, the third or fourth week now of the update, going into that third or fourth week, whatever it is, I'm sorry if I have the time wrong, but, you know, it's been a few weeks since this update, and I've noticed a significant decline in Flight players. Not because their gameplay is bad, but because Flight's just boring. Like, Flight's personality is really boring. Flight's dialogue is even more boring. I really don't enjoy Flight. When I was doing the mastery, I think I even told one of my friends, I was like, this dude is so boring. I do not like this character. And that kind of sucks to say, because there's not many toons that I think are uninteresting, but unfortunately, I do think Flight kind of falls in that category. I kind of said the same for Coco for a little while before I kind of learned more about the whole thing between Coco and Bassie, but I think that also carries a lot of Coco's interest, is that interaction between Coco and Bassie. Otherwise, I think Coco's also pretty boring, because Coco's entire thing is just helping people all the time, which I think has already kind of been done before with other toons, and so it's just kind of uninteresting. Not as bad as Flight, but still kind of uninteresting. Bassie and Eggson, I can't say the same. I think those two are just fine. I really enjoyed Eggson when I did his mastery. I did his entire mastery in one game, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that Eggson's dialogues were really fun, and his personality as kind of being this older guy was pretty cool. I liked that one. And Bassie, I had to play multiple rounds with Bassie, but I really enjoyed Bassie. So that was my only complaint, is just that certain toons felt kind of boring, or their personality just didn't shine as much, but I would say that's very subjective. Other thing I just want to mention real quick, I think their mastery is also really well balanced. The only one I think that I kind of struggled with was Bassie's machine challenge, where you have to do like 110 machines with a character that only has 2 stars for extraction speed. That kind of sucked, because I had to rely a lot on Vimo to do that one, but other than that, I think it was just fine. So, in the toon department, I think that it was a massive step up from what the Christmas update was. What wasn't a step up, and I think a lot of people I've played with agree with this, the Twisteds are really dull. I don't know what happened, but Flight, Coco, and Eggson are all basically just standard Twisteds who have no special mechanics. I think there was something about, like, Coco is supposed to be faster, but also has a really low attention span. I think that was something that Coco had. I didn't notice it very often besides the attention span thing, but like the speed thing, I straight up didn't notice. And other than that, they had nothing that made them original. So that kind of blowed. Because like the Christmas update, every character was unique, right? Like Rudy shined in the dark. Ginger, like Ginger's attention span was ungodly. Like it took forever. Cole was really slow, but also had a high attention span. So I don't know why that kind of lacked in the department of Twisteds this update, but it did. It really did, and it wasn't fun at all. So unfortunately, that's kind of the first like major hiccup of this update is the Twisteds were really sucky. Bassie as well, I think, while being much more unique, just wasn't that interesting as a main Twisted. Like, at least with Bobbette had a really fun mechanic where picking anything up would alert Bobbette to your position. And so, especially in blackouts, it made it really tense. I do like Bassie's idea of like having these flowers that just kind of pop up and slow you down significantly, but you also have to note that they're in the same spot almost every time that Bassie spawns, especially when you get Bassie on floor 20. It's pretty much you're always going to get the same flower spawns, and so you kind of predict it, and it's really easy to go around them. So I think that was kind of a letdown because compared to pretty much any other main Twisted, Bassie just really didn't feel threatening. Like, I would be more concerned of an Astro before I got concerned over a Bassie, and that's saying a lot. So unfortunately, that's just kind of how it is. So, another thing with the Twisteds as well is the trinkets. Why? Why are the trinkets so mediocre again? This was a problem that I pretty distinctly remember back in the Christmas update. The trinkets were extremely useless for the most part. Like, Toy Kit, which was Bobette's trinket, got nerfed really badly, and now it's useless. I don't see anyone running Toy Kit ever. The Christmas lights are never usable, and they did the same thing this time. They made the egg radar, which is like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we making trinkets event only? That's not cool, because then no one's ever going to run those trinkets ever again. That should just be one trinket that highlights any sort of capsule or any sort of event currency, in my opinion. I think that rather than making a new trinket for every common character to just highlight event currencies like baskets or ornaments, they just need to make one, which I think the Egg Radar should do this, that just always highlights event currencies and capsules every 10 seconds. I think that would be perfectly fine. Or maybe if you don't want to do it every 10 seconds, make it like every 30 seconds or like once a floor or whatever. I don't care. Just stop with the event only trinkets. It's just so bad. Like, why? Why would you do that? On top of that, the rest of the trinkets are also just as useless. Like, I don't see anyone running the one that makes candy effects last longer unless they're just memeing. Like, why would you run that one? I don't know. Personally, I just don't know. Bassie's is also really useless unless you're playing Bassie, because all it does is highlight items during panic mode, but like, why would you go out of your way to go collect items in panic mode? Why? Just another example of like kind of this why trinket. It's just not good. And then flights reduces stealth. I think that's the best one, because at least with that one, like, I could see a use with it if you have like two goobs or something, or like two yadas. I don't know. It's still really situational, but I have heard of it being viable. So the trinkets kind of suck, which is unfortunate because this was a problem back in the Christmas update. I think the only one that I can remember being useful at all in the Christmas update was the icing one that like gives you stamina back for using an ability or something like that. But yeah, no, it blows. It really blows. So hopefully trinkets can be better coming up. Next is maps. I love the Easter map. I think it's way better than the Christmas map. I think it's a lot more interesting. I think it's a lot more detailed. And something that I really want this game to do more of is actually lean into more of the horror and more of the lore, because this map had a really interesting little side room with like this really creepy stuff going on with like writing on the wall and a little lore note basically saying that Bassie was never supposed to be the main tune. Please lean more into that. It's so fun when that happens, and like you get these little snippets of lore every floor, and like you can kind of get like an idea of some of like the creepiness or like horrors that happened. I don't need a full-blown like, you know, grotesque type of imagery thing going on. That's not what I'm asking for. I just want them to lean a little bit more into that, because I think it's really fun when they lean into the lore of this game, and I want them to keep doing that because I think it's really fun. So overall, map was really fun. I had no problems with it compared to the Christmas map. I thought it was a lot more interesting. So next up, I want to talk about skins, and I'm going to make this really quick. They're fine, but they're really forgettable. The only one that I personally enjoyed running is the Bassie one and the Yada one. I think those two were pretty fun. All the other ones I just I couldn't care for. Louis didn't need another skin. He already got one event skin. He didn't need two, so I don't know why Louis got another one. Coco's was super forgettable. Same with Flight. Both of theirs are just super forgettable, and just really, like, I don't understand the design purpose of them. Like, why this design specifically, I guess, would be my question. So if anyone knows why they designed it that way, please let me know, because I don't know. I don't know why they designed it that way. Exons was cool, but like I didn't run it. I like his original and his vintage design way more. And so it kind of only left me with two skins that I even remember, let alone enjoy. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying that I wasn't a huge fan of the skin department. I just think they were super forgettable. But another thing I also want to bring up, and this is less to do with skins and more to do with the event as a whole, I play this game a lot. I have way too many hours than I would like to admit, and I have a lot of Ichor built up. I think I am now officially over 36,000 Ichor, which kind of tells you how much I play this game. It's ridiculous, I know. And what I've noticed this multiple times now. It's not just this event. It's actually not just the Christmas event either. This has happened on multiple occasions. Ichor is kind of useless. Like, you can play this game a lot and have all this Ichor saved up, and it's totally useless. Like, there was a singular purchase in this entire event that required Ichor, and that was Bassie. And it still also needed baskets and full research on Bassie before you got that. Why? Why are we not using the main currency of the game? I had this complaint back in Christmas where I said that I'm fine with an event currency, but I don't understand why Ichor is kind of thrown to the side because of it, and I would like to bring that argument up again. Why is Ichor being thrown to the side so much? I don't understand that, because I understand the argument that like it puts everyone on the same playing field, and that way everyone kind of starts fresh, so you don't have any sort of advantage going into the event. And I totally get that. I think that you should have some sort of grind. With that being said, I think it also punishes players who show dedication to the game, because, like I said, I have a lot of Ichor, and I have nothing to spend it on. I've 100%ed this game long time ago. Like, prior to the Christmas event, I had 100%ed the game. I've 100%ed every event now, and I still have all this Ichor that I just straight up can't spend. And it's like, why? Why is there nothing for players who have completed your events to do? So, while I understand having an event currency, I also understand giving players who show clear dedication to playing your game, giving them something to spend all that hard-earned Ichor on. So, going forward with future events, because I guarantee there will be more down the line, I really hope they do lean a little bit more into the main currency as well as an event currency, just because I do think they need to be doing that. I think that you need to give some sort of incentive between events to still grind your game, to still get Ichor, because only having one thing that needs Ichor is, not to say like demoralizing, but I think it just kind of sucks. Because then players who have spent a lot of a lot of their time on your game don't feel like they're really rewarded at all for spending a lot of time on your game. So that's just my subjective take on that. I think it's just something that would be beneficial. So overall, I love this update. I think it's really fun. I've had a blast with it, especially compared to other game updates that have come out recently. I really can't say I've had a problem with this update at all. I do think there are things to improve on, which I've made pretty clear, but I'd like to take this last little bit, just like I did with my Forsaken review, to just give a couple suggestions, things that for those people who have made it to the end can listen to, kind of hear my suggestions, hear what they think about them, maybe give their own takes on them, whatever you want to do. But here's my personal suggestions. Number one, just balance what you did well with the Christmas update and what you did well with the Easter update. Because, again, the tunes are a lot better in the Easter update, but the Twisteds were a lot better in the Christmas update. So it's like they kind of did a 180 in that department, where it was totally flip-flopped from what the Christmas update did well and improved on. So overall, I would just say, like, take the strengths of both worlds and make the best of both worlds, because I think it's doable. They've shown that they can do it, so I don't know why the Twisteds were such a flop this update, but hopefully they can improve on that and make them a little bit more unique, especially like rare or uncommon Twisteds. Like, if only Exen was like a normal Twisted, I would have been fine with it. But the fact that Coco and Flight were also pretty much just normal kind of sucked. It didn't make them really fun to go for. So I would like to see a little bit of improvement there. And same with Bassie. Like, if I had any suggestion on reworking Bassie for like the next Easter or something, I would just say have her place her own flowers like every 30 seconds or something, and then just like despawn previous ones. I think that would be a lot more interesting, because then it's not as predictable where flowers will be. Like, I understand they tried to do it in a way that makes like choke points and stuff, things that will actually impact the players. But I think it'd be more interesting if Bassie just like constantly caused the flowers to move around like every 30 to 60, maybe 60 seconds. Like every 60 seconds a flower moves and you can have like up to 3 flowers on the map. I think that would be a lot more interesting for Bassie with her flower mechanic as opposed to what she has now. But that's just my take on that. So, second thing, as I just mentioned, just make Ichor more useful in the events. Give a reason for people who have played the game to have an incentive to keep playing your game between events and stuff, by having a decent reward for starting with a lot of Ichor as opposed to starting as a brand new player. I think that the players who have stuck your game out, have played for a while, have all that Ichor, should be rewarded for having all that by having things that they can spend it on right away during events, rather than just instantly having to just do what they've been doing the entire time and starting on the same playing field as everyone else. Does that mean that they need a totally unfair advantage? No, they shouldn't be able to just like instantly buy the new tunes. But maybe at the very least something like skins could no longer be event currency. I think that would be more fun, but that's just me speaking. And last one, speaking of skins, just make them more unique, make them... I think that the way they did like all the normal tune skins is how they should be doing the event skins, where they like closely relate to like a certain theme or a certain aspect of the tune, something that makes it interesting, like how Toodles has like a junior detective outfit. That's really cute. I love that one. Or like how Roger has his like pajama one. Same with Shelly. Shelly has like her Dino Shelly one. Or like Astro having his kind of dreamy, sparkly one. Or you get the idea, right? Like, make them a little bit more unique, because I think this event kind of flopped in the skins department, and not to say that the Christmas one had the same problem, but they're also kind of forgettable. Whereas, like, the normal tunes got really good skins. So I would just say going forward, make the skins a little bit more interesting and appealing rather than just kind of like a bland recolor. Because I do think it helps a lot when you have an appeal to the skins rather than just kind of a one-off recolor. It feels like when you're playing a shooter game and you just get a recolor rather than that brand new legendary skin, you know? Like, you're kind of like, oh, neat, I guess. I'll use this only so I don't have to use the default skin. But in the case of Dandy's World, you might as well just use the vintage one instead. Or even just use the original, because some of the original designs are better. That's just my take. But overall, I love this update. I love what they did. I'd personally give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I think there's a couple things holding it back, but it is still a phenomenal update. I still love playing this game, so hopefully you guys liked the unscripted kind of video. I'm going to be doing this as well with the next two videos, which I'm just going to tell you right now, they're going to be updates on PC2 as well as updates on Forsaken, and my opinions on both those games updates that just came out a few days ago, giving a more fresh take on those, and those should be coming out a lot quicker than this one was. So I already got the footage for those. They're already ready to go. I just need to record the audio and get it all slapped together. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, I would love to know it. I would love to hear any comments you have or what you thought about the update. I actually really like hearing what other people think about the update. So if you want to comment about what you thought, I would love to hear it. I'd love to talk about it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you're enjoying all this content. And I'll see you guys pretty soon. See you later.